Welcome back once again to Pre-Algebra with Miss Betsy. I'm so glad that you've joined us on this journey through Pre-Algebra this year. I'm using as my text Pre-Algebra for Christian Schools by Bob Jones University Press. If you're following along with me, we are on page 126, section 4.5, and we're talking about multiplying integers, multiplying signed numbers. But first, before we get started, I wonder if you can tell me what you call a polar bear in the Caribbean. Well, you would call him Lost. This is going to be probably the world's fastest video. I see no reason to belabor the point. I don't see a whole lot of reason to go through the teaching that they do on this. What are you doing when you're multiplying integers? Well, remember that integers are positive numbers, negative numbers, and 0. We know how to multiply 2 times 2. We know that that's 4. 5,000 times 300 is 15 with 5 zeros after. We know how to do multiplication with positive numbers. But what do we do when we're multiplying with integers, when we have negative numbers involved there? All you have to worry about is you can only multiply 2 factors together at the same time, right? If you have both of those factors are the same sign, your product is positive. 2 times 2 is 4. Negative 2 times negative 2 is also a positive 4. If you have different signs, you get a negative product. 4 times 5 is 20. Positive 4 times a positive 5. You multiply the numbers together, ignoring their signs. And if the sign is the same, you keep the same sign. Negative 4 times negative 5. Multiply them together, ignoring the signs. 4 times 5 is 20. Are the signs the same? Yeah, then your answer is positive. What happens if you have different signs? See if this goes the whole way over. Don't think it actually does. Negative 4 times a positive 5. Multiply the numbers together as if they were both positive. 4 times 5 is 20. Are the signs the same? Negative and positive? No, they're different signs. So that means we have a negative product. What I was trying to write that didn't show up was, well, I've got a negative 4 times 5. Well, what if I have a positive 4 times a negative 5? Does that have any impact on our problem here? Well, what do? You multiply the numbers together, ignoring the signs. 4 times 5 is 20. Are the signs the same? No, they're different signs. If they're different signs, what do? You have a negative product. And that's exactly as you would expect it to be, because you'll remember that multiplication is commutative. That means that it doesn't matter which order you multiply those factors, you have to get the same answer. So you see here that this works even when you're multiplying signed numbers. This is truly all that there is to section 4.5 about multiplying signed numbers. But remember, when you multiply, the things that you're multiplying together are called factors. You can only multiply 2 factors together at the same time. 2 times a negative 2 times 3 times negative 3 times negative 2. Let me see. Let me do another one. Are the signs here the same? No. But does that mean it's a negative product? No, it doesn't, because we can only multiply 2 numbers together. And I want to take just a second to show you this. I'm going to string this out the long way. 2 times a negative 2 is a negative 4 because the signs are different. Negative 4 times 3 times negative 3 times negative 2 times negative 2. Negative 4 times a negative 3 is a negative 12, as I write a negative 13. is a negative 12 because the signs are different. So we have negative 12, negative 3, negative 2, negative 2. Now why I felt compelled to pick such a long problem, I guess that's me. 3 times 12 is 36. Is it positive or negative? It's positive because the signs are the same, so we have a positive product. 36 times negative 2 times negative 2. 2 times 36 is 72. Because we have different signs, that product is negative. Negative 72 times a negative 2 is 144. Negative, negative, the signs are the same, so the product is positive. What was I trying to show you here? Said, well, we've got different signs, so that means the answer is negative. No, because you can only multiply two signs together, and you can only multiply two factors together. I want you to count how many negatives we have here. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we have two pairs of negative numbers that multiply together. Negative 2 times a negative 2 is a positive 4. Negative 3 times a negative 2 is a positive 6. So that's how we ended up with a positive product, even though we had different signs in front of our factors. So what I just illustrated to you is that if you have an even number of negative factors, your product will be positive. Because if for every pair of negative factors, they have the same sign, so it becomes positive. So if you have an even number of negative factors, your product is positive. If you have an odd number of negative factors, then your product is going to be negative. If you have an odd number of negative factors, it has to be negative because they're going to pair up. Let's say you have three factors together, two of them pair, negative times negative becomes positive, but then you have a positive times a negative. You have an extra negative left over. If you have 15 negative factors, 14 of those are going to pair up into groups of 2, so that you'll have 7 pairs which become positive when they multiply together, but you have that one leftover sign, leftover negative sign, so when you have an odd number of integers, when you have an odd number of negative factors, the product is negative. Okay, so what do you have to take away from this lesson to immediately understand what's going on? You have to understand that when you're multiplying integers together, if the signs are positive, the two factors that you multiply together, if they have the same sign, the product is positive. If their signs are different, the product is negative. You have to understand that to be able to multiply integers. This second part of the teaching, where if you have an even number of negatives, your product is positive, where you have an odd number of negatives, your product is negative, if that makes sense with you, take it and run with it right now. Otherwise, as you work with multiplying negative numbers together, this will become apparent to you that this is a true statement, and you'll automatically begin to use it and say, oh, I've got 5 negative factors, so that means I've got a negative answer. Oh, I've got 4 negative factors here. I know that my product's going to be positive. That's all there is to this, and I'll see you next time.